How is it going, guys, and welcome back to the Pokemon Premier League. Now this is week 2, and in this week we are playing FranCtrode and FC Volcarona. Now, I've been watching Franc for quite a while. I've been watching his videos for a very long time. He's a fantastic battler, and this will be the first time I've ever played him, so I was a little bit kind of awestruck, like, holy damn, I'm actually playing FranCtrode, and I was a little bit starstruck from that. Not necessarily too much, but it was like, yeah, when you see someone that is a good battler and then you play them, you kind of get a little bit, like, overcome by it. And that was certainly a little bit of a case in this, but yeah, I'll quickly go over the team because I'm not going to be doing team analysis videos. I'm going to try and keep my team analysis in these fairly short. So we have Regirock with leftovers, 252 HP, 252 defense, 4 special defense, impish nature with Stealth Rock, Thunder Wave, Stone Edge, and Rest. Rest is simply in case I get burned by Entei and I need to get rid of that burn later on. The only reason I'm bringing Regirock is to deal with Entei because it stops it 100% no matter what he's doing. The next Pokemon we have is Sableye, W Gas the Sableye, with 252 HP, 4 attack, and 252 special defense, with Knockoff, Shadow Sneak, Recover, Will-O-Wisp, and a Careful Nature. Now, the reason for this is because Mega Sableye just takes hits from Starmie, including Dazzling Gleam. Knockoff is going to do a lot to his team, and general stuff like that. We have Sulk with Choice Scarf, Adamant Nature, 4 HP, 252 attack, 252 speed, with Poison Jab, Close Combat, Zen Headbutt, and Knockoff. Now, Choice Scarf Adamant outspeeds the majority, like all of his team, unless they're Scarfed. Like, it outspeeds everything on there. So it would have been great to clean up with this thing. I gave it Zen Headbutt, Poison Jab, and Knockoff to hit Poliwrath, Mega Gardevoir, and basically just knock off in case he decided to bring Golbat. I now have Assault Vest Victini with Jolly Nature, 140 HP, 212 attack, and 156 speed. Now, the EVs on that are enough to outspeed modest Mega Gardevoir with Assault Vest and the rest in HP, so that I can outspeed it. I can switch in on a Hyper Voice or a Shadow Ball with the Assault Vest. I can take whatever it is, and I can one-shot it with the attack investment with a V-Create. I have V-Create, U-Turn, Grass Knot, and Bolt Strike. Grass Knot is simply to hit Hippowdon if I ever find this, like that thing possibly switching in on me. Bolt Strike for Poliwrath, U-Turn for Momentum. Expert Belted Huron with 4 HP, 252 special attack, 252 speed, Timid Nature, with Ice Beam, Focus Blast, Earth Power, Shadow Ball. Expert Belt instead of Life Orb because I can bluff a choice item with that, and that was the intentional plan. The EVs on there are enough to outspeed Adamant, Entei, Jolly, not Jolly, Modest Mega Gardevoir, and any kind of non-scarfed Rotom. And Scavalier, Choice Band, 252 HP, 252 attack, 4 special defense with Mega Horn, Adamant Nature, Drill Run, Mega Horn, Knockoff, and Iron Head, and this thing just hits everything on his team really hard. So yeah, it's a good team that I think I've brought. I think I've prepped correctly. I'm really proud of that Victini set, to be fair, because the EVs on this thing are like they are simply there to do what I need them to do. It's there to stop Mega Gardevoir, it's there to be a Gardevoir check and hit hard, so we'll see how it does. Now, what Franc has brought is Rotom, Poliwrath, Starmie, Hippo, Mega Gardevoir, which I'm assuming is Trace, and, well, I assumed it was Trace, but, and Entei, and he brought 3 Mons, really, that I thought he was going to bring, and then 3 that I didn't really see too much. I was expecting Golbat to come, to be fair. I don't know why, I just was expecting Golbat. I wasn't expecting Poliwrath for some reason, but Rotom possibly. I thought that thing might possibly come, and I was a bit worried because it does outspeed Sork by 1 point, so that might have been a thing. It does have a higher natural base speed, so if he's running Scarf, he will outspeed me, no matter what, because I'm Adamant anyway, but yeah. Let's get into this match, and let's see how we did against FranCtrode. Once it actually decides to do things and stuff, there we are. Okay. Now, Franc is issuing a challenge, and he leads off with his Entei. Now, because he led off with his Entei, and this was very clever from him. He starts off the match by leading off with his Entei. I led off with Victini. Now, I know that this thing's probably going to have Stone Edge or something, and instinctively, I'm like, right, I'm not getting any damage on Victini. I need to keep it healthy so I can take on Mega Gardevoir. I go straight into Regirock. Franc here is very, very smart, and switches out immediately into Hippowdon. One thing I did notice about that was that I outsped his Entei, so I immediately knew it was Adamant. That was great information. Now, why that play there was so clever of him was because I have a Mega Sableye that can switch in on this thing no matter what if it's Mega Evolved. So he's bluffed me from the start to get his Stealth Rocks up, knowing that I didn't have a spinner on my team, and he's bluffed me to high hell to get his Rocks up, so I decided I'd put them up myself instead of waiting. Now, I had a feeling he was going to try and get some kind of status off on my Regirock, and I assumed Toxic was coming, so I thought Escavalier can switch in and then really hurt something with Mega Horn. So I switch in, but the Toxic doesn't go off, and I go for the Mega Horn, which hits the Poliwrath that he switches in incredibly hard. Now, look at that damage. That did about 60%, and Sandstorm is a thing. So even if the next Mega Horn didn't kill it, I would be able to, the Sandstorm would take it out anyway, but I'm not risking him having Scold or something nasty, so I decided to go into Mega Sableye, and he goes revealing the Circle Throw. Now, Circle Throw was an interesting choice there. I don't know why he chose to do that, because I didn't really have anything that wanted to switch in on this thing, but he does go for, and obviously Mega Sableye doesn't get hit by it, and that allows me to actually get the Mega up, so he switches out into this racist joke over here. He goes out into his Rotom, which takes Stealth Rock damage, and I get my Mega up, and I think I just go for a Knockoff. Now, Knockoff, I was just kind of scouting to see what possibly he could have, what item he could have on his Poliwrath, which would have given me an indication of the set. I hit the Rotom fairly hard, which tells me that it's not exactly the bulkiest of things, and he just goes straight up for a Volt Switch. Now, he can see by that damage that I'm specially defensive, and he switches out into his Mega Gardevoir. Now, I just go for the recover here, because I want to keep Mega Sableye around as much health as possible to deal with Hippowdon's Earthquakes, and take just Starmie's Dazzling Beams and stuff like that. So, he's now got his Gardevoir in, and it was Trace like I thought it was. So, he switches out, I switch out again, sorry, and go into Victini because it's my Gardevoir check. It has to be my Gardevoir check, even with Stealth Rocks up. I need to keep this Gardevoir off the field as much as possible, and Victini should only really have to switch in on this thing's Hyper Voice once. So he comes in, he does go for the Hyper Voice, which does 45 damage to a Victini. A Mega Gardevoir's Pixelate Modest Hyper Voice does 45 damage to me. Now he sees that I can outspeed and do whatever, and he decides to go into Hippowdon because Hippowdon can take anything I have apart from Grass Knot. I didn't want to reveal Grass Knot there because I thought it would be more useful here to get some momentum off with U-turn and not take any Sandstorm damage, because I need to keep Victini's HP as high as possible, even if that means just staying out. And I go into Escavalier because I know that I can just destroy this thing's soul with a Mega Horn. It does about 65% to 70% from the calcs, and he goes for a Slack Off. Now, he told me in his commentary that he thought that I would outspeed for some reason. I'm not too sure why, but he gets himself back up to full health with Slack Off, and I go straight for a Mega Horn. Now, that does literally about 65%, and he's like, damn. So he stays in and goes for a Slack Off. Now, there's a couple of turns coming up here where I just keep going for Mega Horn and keep going for Slack Off. Now, he goes for that Slack Off, and the reason this is happening is because I'm not going to give him a chance to keep that Hippowdon at high health. I'm not giving him a chance to let that thing stay at high health and wall my Victini, because I need this thing low. I need this thing on low health for my physical threats to do anything. So I'm just going to keep spamming Mega Horn. I'm not going to give him the opportunity, and I am doing more and more damage each time, so if he doesn't go for an Earthquake eventually, or I don't miss, then he's just going to die. So he goes for the Earthquake this turn, giving up, and I stuck with my Mega Horns, and I got lucky and didn't miss one, and the Hippo goes down. Escavalier getting its first kill of the season, which was fantastic. Now he sends out the Starmie here, knowing that he can kill me like with anything. He can kill me with Surf, with I think he has Psychic. I don't think that would kill, but Surf would kill. Now I go into Mega Sableye, which is at full health after, well, not after Stealth Rock damage, but it's at near enough full health, and he goes for the Surf. Now, honestly, I did not know at this point that Analytic activated on switches, so I thought he was spexed, and I was like, oh, that's fine, I can just take another one then. And he reveals the Dazzling Gleam, and it actually does less than the Stab Surf did, so that was lucky for me. He goes for Dazzling Gleam, I recover. He goes for another one, and I'm just going to recover up again. Now, he can see that I'm just going to keep going for recover to keep my HP high, and at this point I thought that he'd have enough. I thought that he'd get tired of it, and he'd switch into the Mega Gardevoir. If he didn't, I'd kill the Starmie anyway. He does indeed go into Mega Gardevoir, as I click the knockoff to do a bit of damage to it. Probably should have clicked Shadow Sneak, but I didn't want to reveal that yet. Go for knockoff. It does fair enough, but I wasn't sure if I would kill it with a Shadow Sneak there. I probably would have in hindsight, but I wasn't sure at the time, so I switch on out into a Scavalier to sacrifice it, and it just dies to a Hyper Voice. Now, I'm happy that I managed to get this thing down to a bit lower health, because it can't keep coming in now, because it's going to keep switching in on rocks. So I bring in Barkley over here, and just click V-Create, as he switches out, knowing that I outspeed him, and he goes into Polyswag over here, which takes Stealth Rock damage, and it's going to take this V-Create, it's going to live on about, I think he told me it was like 20 HP, something like that. It lives like really, really low. It doesn't take that very well. But I am now at lowered speed, lowered defense, lowered special defense, so he will just kill me and outspeed me with whatever he chooses to go with. So I switch on out Victini there, because I need Victini around, because it outspeeds his Gardevoir, and it still hits hard. So I go into Gaster, I bring out Gaster, and I take some Stealth Rock damage, and I think here he just goes for, well, no, he does withdraw. He withdraws the Poliwrath, pulling the double out into the Starmie. Now he's thinking that he can kill me with a Dazzling Gleam from this range. And I calced it, and I'm pretty sure that I could live one no matter what. Now he goes for the Dazzling Gleam, I live it on 8 HP, and I go for the knockoff, which takes out the Starmie, just straight up bops it. So Mega Sableye getting another kill in a match. But unfortunately, I am pretty much just going to go down to anything now, because Stealth Rocks are up, and I'm on 8 HP, I'm slow as hell. There's no way I'm going to recover, so I thought, you know what, I'm going to get some damage off, go for my Shadow Sneak on this Rotom, get as much damage off as possible. It does nothing, so that tells me this thing's probably a little bit bulky to, you know, take an Ice Beam from a Suicune, which I didn't bring, but he goes for a Volt Switch and kills my Mega Sableye. But the thing about that is I now still get Switch Initiative because he killed me. He goes back out into Poliwrath, just thinking I don't think he needed it anymore, and I could just switch him whatever I wanted and revenge whatever he had anyway, because his team's at very low health. So I go out into Undyne the Sork. Sork making his debut. It should be a girl. I don't know why it's a male Sork, but then again, you can't get female Sorks. But I go for a Poison Jab, which just kills the Poliwrath. And that's a bit of banter, so that made me happy. Now, he brings out the Entei, and he's pretty much just got to click Sacred Fire and try and burn my Regirock here. He's got to try and burn Regirock, because otherwise he has no way of taking it out with Entei. So I'm forced here to go into Regirock, who I have brought to deal with Entei. Choice Banded Entei. I assumed it was Choice Banded at this point. I don't know if it was or not, but he goes for the Sacred Fire, which does indeed get the burn, but it does like no damage. So I was like, is this really banded? He gets the burn, which is a bit of a nuisance, but that's why I carry Rest. If it came down to a one-on-one between Entei and Regirock, Entei's not winning. Entei is not winning. So he withdraws the Entei here after getting the burn and goes into the Rotom as I go for a Thunder Wave, trying to cripple the Entei. But obviously Rotom's an electric type, it's not going to get paralyzed. So Regirock just kind of has to switch out here. But at this point, what he has left is a Rotom, Gardevoir, and an Entei. And I've already gathered that the Gardevoir's modest, the Entei's adamant, and this thing is more of a defensive set, so I can just freely switch into Kyurem and he's going to go for a Leaf Storm, which kind of does a lot to me. Not that much, considering I have a base 125 HP and pretty decent defenses, but it does mean that I'm able to come in and kill the Rotom, and this is why I'm glad I brought Timid. I'm very glad I brought Timid, because if I'd have brought anything other, if I'd have brought Modest or you know, any other kind of attack boost in nature, he would have been able to outspeed with Entei and Gardevoir. But because I brought Timid, because I brought Timid, I can outspeed the Entei, hit it with an Earth Power, which is going to take out the Entei, absolutely 100% of the time, that's going to take out the Entei. Entei goes down, that's 2 kills for Kyurem, and the only thing he has left is his Gardevoir, which is going to die to a Shadow Ball after Stealth Rock damage 100% of the time. And that is going to be a 4-0 victory for AS Monferno against Franc and the FC Volcarona. So, yeah. After last week's absolute massacre by Shroomraver, we've made up for it in spectacular fashion. Like, we've completely avenged what went down before. We have completely fixed the differential from last week, and we've put ourselves right in a good spot. We've got 1 win, 1 loss, and we're right back up the pace again. So, I'm really happy with the way that match went. I felt like I think I prepped better than him. That's the only reason, because he was making a lot of plays during the match, and I didn't really make a lot of plays. I was a bit silly with my Escavalier early on, switching it into a Hippo, and I just felt like he played better, but I prepped better, so the prep kind of outdid him, if you know what I mean. But it was still a great match. He's a fantastic battler, and he's going to have a hell of a season if he can play that well. Actually, well, I don't know. I mean, Franc's a fantastic battler. He's going to have a hell of a season anyway, because people are going to love facing him. He always brings tricksy stuff. Like, I found out after the match that he had Psych Up Rotom to deal with Carmine Suicune, which was insane. Like, that was absolutely insane. I would never have thought about that. I had no idea. It didn't even come into my mind. But yeah, so that was a really good victory. Make sure you go and check Franc out if you don't already know who he is. Yeah, I mean, there's not much else for me to say, but thank you very much for watching, guys, and next week we will be playing RTK and the Portland Timbers. So that's going to be an interesting match. It'll be 3rd versus 2nd from last season, and RTK has lost both of his matches 5-0 this season so far, so that's going to be a bit of a thing for him. He's going to want to try and get revenge. But yeah, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you guys next week. Bye-bye.